What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, Yaknastiiifishing. And today, I got a good one for you. Yeah, man. This is going to be a very interesting topic. I can't wait to hear what you guys say down in the comments below. And please do get in the comments below because I've heard one side say one thing, I've heard another side say another thing. And I also have my personal opinion on how I navigate this, right? So guys, today we're talking about spinning reels versus bait casters. What's better and for what technique are they better for? I tell you what, that is a great debate if I ever heard one. So I want to see some action down in the comment section, homies. All right, before we get started, I want to shout out a local business. Come on, guys, you know I'm going to do it. The House of Coffee. Yeah, man, go on by there. Get you a specialty latte. Go on and get you some espresso. Go on and find something you really like in there because there is something in there for you. Okay, if you're drinking tea or you're drinking coffee or you just want a water, got some good pastries in there as well. And you can also buy some merch. They have some paintings, some antique stuff in there, some signage, some stickers, some handmade jewelry. It is a neat little coffee shop, guys. Go check it out if you're in the Dover, Delaware area. The House of Coffee. Yeah, guys. And another small business, I got to shout them out one more time, man, at least one more time. Hopefully they want to sponsor your boy. So go on, yeah. Helen's Sausage House, guys. I mean, they got the best breakfast sandwiches, man. When you're on the highway, you're headed to work and you need something and you ride by, you can get your bacon, egg, and cheese. You can get your sausage, egg, and cheese. You can get the double sausage on there. They got the links, the patties. Come on, man. Go on, swing by there. Yeah, Helen's Sausage House. One more thing I'm going to ask you guys to check out for me. Hey, go ahead and swing by Yaknastiiifishing.com. Yes, I got a website. It is launched, but it is also under construction. I'm going to add a merch page, and there's going to be another page or two on the back end, okay? Especially dropping some new juice online. Okay, guys? Yaknastiiifishing.com. And if you want to support the road to the classic, guys, yeah, I qualify for the BASS, all right, Bass Nation National Championship, guys. Yep, aka the classic, on the kayak side, it's the Bass Nation National Championship. But it's in conjunction with the Bassmaster Classic. And yeah, guys, you see that. You see that over there. We're going. We're going to the big game, guys. So if you want to help out, man, check out some stuff down in the description, info down there if you want to help out, all the notes, okay? And if you want to personally message me to figure some other things out, yeah, go ahead and hit me up at yaknastiiifishing@gmail.com, guys. So let me get all that out the way, right? Yeah, I'll push it to the side, and I thank you in advance, guys. Yeah, we go, I think we're leaving, well, I'm leaving March 7th, okay? And I'm going to be there for about 10 days, coming back about the 17th. And we're going to stay for the classic, check out some sites. So, yeah, stay tuned for that, man. It's probably going to be about 10 videos, right? One for each day being out in Tennessee. Oh, my goodness. I'm so excited, dudes. So excited. So guys, let's get into the great debate. Now, I'm not going to sit here and debate what's better for who and for what technique or why. But what I will do is talk about the pros and cons. Okay, guys? And then at the end there, I'm going to throw a little something out there and I'll let you guys debate about it down in the comments below. So hit that like, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed here. And if you're new here, guys, you might want to stay a while for the party. You know what I mean? We love the party. We love to talk fishing here. And I got Leon Sims, aka Mr. Get 'em Bobby, coming back for part 2 on Lizard Talks, okay, within the next week or two, guys. So, yeah, buddy. All right. So, I'm going to start off real simple, real basic. We're going to do the pros of spinning reels, okay? To see, people sometimes associate a spinning reel with a rookie or with a beginning angler or possibly uh, saltwater or something like that, right? But a lot of people don't keep an account that, hey man, most of the pros right now are using spinning rods like they are going out of style. Yeah, with the introduction of forward facing sonar, everybody is picking up a spinning rod or a spinning reel, I should say, and they're jigging that minnow. But guess what, man? A spinning rod or reel. I keep saying rod, so I might say rod quite a bit in here. You know what I'm talking about. The reel, okay? Yeah, the spinning reel itself has proven to me to be very, very versatile. Saltwater, freshwater, and brackish water. I do fish all waters, okay? When I get a moment, I do. Yes, indeedy. From the bank, on the water, it doesn't matter. I love to fish. So, yeah, a spinning rod has come in handy for like everybody of water at one point in my life. I cut my teeth on a spinning reel, okay? I was taught on that little push button Zepco back when I was young, right? And probably about 4 or 5, something like that, real teeny. And once I got to learning how to use my fingers real good, right? And get that feel on the hands, right? I don't know what age that happens, y'all, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? When you feel that line and you could get the casting out and your mom, your dad, your granddad, your grandmom, whoever took you fishing is really excited that you're casting out your own line. Okay, guys, I know that was a thing for me. And yeah, I cut my teeth on a spinning reel, man. And I used the spinning reel all the way up. Uh, Solely, only. Like I didn't have a Baitcaster. I had no other reels. Okay, none. All I bought was spinning reels for everything. Saltwater, freshwater, brackish water. Yes, sir. I used a spinning reel for everything. Yeah. And at the end of this, I'm gonna tell you what I was using a spinning reel for. That a lot of guys right now in the industry, bass fishing, will probably look at me like I was crazy. Like you threw what? On a spinning reel? And I got to tell you, it worked out great. But let's get into the pros of spinning reels. All right. Now, I got some notes written down, so I'm going to have to probably peek at those every now and again. I got about a whole page of bullet points on baitcasters and spinning reels. All right, guys. So, the pros. Pro number one of a spinning reel, I touched on it just a little bit in that little introduction there. Pro number one is it's easy to start fishing on. All right. There's less moving parts, right? So it is great for beginner anglers. All right. That spinning rod, you can get them out there and really show someone the basics of fishing. All you need is that spinning rod. Just one, really. Just one spinning reel and great rod combo, of course. Um, yeah, you can go anywhere with it, right? So it's easy for a beginner to learn. You don't have to use artificial baits. You could take and put on your night crawler and go catch some crappie. All right. You could put on some chunk bait and pull in a catfish. It's just very easy for the beginning angler. All right, guys. So that is pro tip. Well, pro tip. That is a pro of spinning reels, right? So that's that first pro. I always really let me think. I always start teaching with spinning reels unless it's very specific by the person learning that they only want a bait caster. All right. Now we're getting into that later on. Yeah. So pro number one, spinning rod, easy for beginners. All right. Pro number two to a spinning reel. All right. Another positive to the spinning reel is casting distance. And what I mean by that is you could throw super light baits, okay, 16th ounce, 8th ounce, right? Eighth, you're cutting it depending on your line diameter, right? What size line you got. But you could throw light baits further. with the spinning reel, okay? Just a piece of cake, put something light on there, throw it out there, maybe a little bobber on a worm or a minnow hanging down, live baiting. That's how I learned how to fish. That's how I cut my teeth, as a young kid. So yeah, man, you can cast a lighter bait further. Distance casting, spinning reel. You know what I mean? Another pro, all right, or positive to a spinning reel is you have a superior drag system. Okay, now guys, I know in the day of technology today, okay, I have a BFS setup. Drag system is fantastic. Some of your higher end reels, drag systems on the Baitcaster side, they're all right. They're okay. But in general terms here, all generalities is what I'm speaking on. Superior drag system. All right. It's been perfected for way longer. A spinning reel with the drag set just right, you can land just about any fish on any pound test. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So that is a huge positive when it comes to the spinning reel, of course. Yeah. Drag system. Far more superior, right? Generally speaking, okay, guys. Now, there are bait casters out there with awesome drag systems, all right, click and drag and everything. But generally speaking, a spinning reel, way better drag system, way better drag system. Another positive, a lot of people, I see it all the time. A lot of guys out here, they kind of get in their own way, right? I'm guilty of it myself. I've been stuck in my own way for a long time, a few times, okay? Where at one point I was just throwing a particular bait and that was it. I wouldn't fish nothing else because that bait worked. But the thing is, when you open your mind to certain concepts, right? Or open your mind up to expanding on certain concepts and techniques, guys, you start to realize something. And that gets me into the next positive of the spinning reel. Bait versatility. You can use so many different kinds of baits and techniques on a spinning reel that you probably not even thought possible. For example, when I started throwing artificial baits, like I told you, growing up as a teenager, I only had spinning reels, right? I was throwing little flipping jigs, all right? Not the bitsy bugs, but flipping jigs. I was throwing flipping jigs on a heavy spinning rod. It was 7 foot, I think. Yeah, I was throwing jigs, man. I'm pitching a jig with a spinning reel, all right? And I got pretty good at it too. I got pretty good at targeting right there. I got pretty good at targeting, tossing that jig. So bait versatility, spinning reel, has that, guys. You can use so many different techniques, so many different baits, from live baiting to artificial baits, guys. There's so much you could do. There is so much you could do depending on your line, depending on your reel size, 2,500, 3,500 or bigger, right? I think they even got a 1,500, little teeny thing. All right. So at the end of the day, a spinning reel is super versatile when it comes to baits and techniques. Yeah, guys. Yeah. It's just something to think about. Another positive to a spinning reel, or, well, this one fits more in the spinning combo category, guys. It's not directly reel associated, but I had to write it down, guys. I had to write this down. Another positive is most spinning combos break down into two parts, making it easy to travel. That's a total positive, right? Especially if you're traveling, you're just trying to get somewhere, shaking and moving, just to throw one rod or one pond. Now, if you get into some more nuanced stuff with a spinnerbait, guys, you may end up buying a one-piece spinning rod combo, type deal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, one-piece combo, right? That's cool too. They have those. So, but most of them generally, if you're going and buying it out of Dick's or Walmart or your local tackle shop, most of them break down into two parts. You can put it in the trunk. You can throw it in the back seat. Just generally speaking, not all of them. Now, if you got some high-end stuff, that's a one-piece rod, and you're probably only using it for one or two different techniques or baits. Yeah. And last but not least, another positive for the spinning reel. Okay. Now, I tend to roll out with the 3500 series. That's just my preference because I can use that 3500 in salt water, brackish water, and fresh water. All right. Something too small. If you take it out to the salt and you get a hold of something bigger, you can strip some stuff out. That normally doesn't happen. I mean, if you have a decent reel. Now, if you got I don't know, there's some pretty good Temu ones out there too, but just pay attention to the quality that you're buying and you're paying for, and you'll know what's going on there. But I tend to buy a 3500 series spinning reel. All right, that's my thing, and a main reason for that is for this next positive coming up. Right, it holds generally more line than a baitcaster does. All right. Therefore, that helps increase that cast distance. If you're trolling, you can get that way out there because you have 150 yards of line on there. Okay. Just saying. It holds a little bit more line, generally speaking. So therefore, you can get that thing way out there. All right. Now, the fun part to that little caveat is you catch something, you got to get it in the boat. You got to reel that thing in. And if you got too much line out and you got a big one and it starts pulling drag, guys, you can find yourself in some deep, deep, muddy mess. All right, guys. So always pay attention to what you're doing with that. But yeah, generally, they just hold more line. So yeah, that's all the positives or the pros that I could think of. If you have any other pros or positives to the spinning reel, put that down in the comments below, man. You know, it might have been something I just didn't think of. All right. And you can best believe I'm going to bring this topic back up the next, well, not the next Smalls and Bobby conversation, but on one of the upcoming Smalls and Bobby conversations, because he said he wants to get in on this conversation. I know he's got some juice, right? So moving on to the cons, all right? The negatives of a spinning reel. I just have a couple, actually. Yeah, I just have a couple. The first con to the spinning reel, guys, generally speaking, less accurate castability. All right. You're normally not pinpoint accurate when you're casting your spinning reels. Now, I know some guys that have spent a lot of time with their spinning reels and their spinning combos, and they know how it feels. They know how to pitch that thing up in there. They know how to skip with that spinning reel. They know how to throw it under the dock, get to the back of the dock, and then bring it back out with no issues at all. I know some guys that can do it. Yeah. But generally speaking, most people can't. Okay. Generally speaking, most are just less accurate at casting spinning reels in rod combos, right? It's just a little bit different when you got your line and your finger, and you got to get that release just right to get it exactly where you want it to go. So if you spend more time practicing throwing that combo, all right, that spinning combo, you will definitely get a lot better. Okay, over time, you will definitely get a lot better. You switch up different techniques to see how this feels and how that feels, and then you start to realize how and what you could throw accurately as you practice with that setup, guys. So yeah, generally speaking, less accurate. You might get over there by that log, but you're not gonna hit that exact spot like you would with a bait caster most cases. Okay? Unless you're real good at it. Yeah. So the last con that I have personally for me, guys, so if you have more cons, more negative things about a spinning reel or spinning combo, go ahead and put that down in the comments, man. This is going to be a great discussion. I like that interaction, and then it helps other guys learn through what you guys put down in the comments. And if you have any questions, put that down too, man. I answer all questions. All questions. I don't refuse a question. And if I don't know the answer, I will find someone that does after doing the research myself to find that answer. Yeah, guys. So, yeah, the last con that I have is spinning reels tangle easily. Yeah, that line twists up. You get those wind knots. You know what I mean? Gets annoying, especially if you don't put that line on proper. Okay? When you spool that line on there, you might already twisted it up. Why are you putting it on there if you're not doing it proper? Yeah, guys. Yeah. And therefore, you throw that first cast out, you ever just re-spool the spinning rod real fast. You're on the water or you're on the bank or you're just trying to move real fast. And then you throw it out there and you got all these coils and you didn't take the memory out of that line, you know what I mean? If you got some fluorocarbon on there or a little bit of mono, you didn't take that coil out, all right? Now when you throw it, it's all twisted over there and over here and it's just tore up, man, and you're frustrated. Yeah, yeah. Spinning reels are known to get you a little bit frustrated, especially if it's windy outside. My gosh, you gotta be ready for some things, all right? Because that line will twist up on you and you will get tangled up, you get knotted up, you get wrapped up around the tip of your rod. It can be very frustrating. So yeah, take your time, pay attention to how you're spooling that spinning reel, first of all, and just take your time. Learn that process if you don't already know it. All right, guys. So that is pretty much it and all I have on spinning reels. All right, positives, and I got two negatives too. So if there's more, let me know down below what you got going on with the negatives or the positives of spinning reels. All right. So moving on to the Baitcaster. Yeah, guys. Yeah, the Baitcaster. I remember when I first got my first. I remember when I got my first Baitcaster, guys. Yeah, yeah, I was stoked. I was excited, and you won't believe when that was. Probably about 4 to 5 years ago. Yeah, yeah, maybe a little bit longer. Maybe a little bit longer. I've been in this house. I don't know. Maybe a little bit longer. Maybe 5 to 6 years. Not that long ago when I bought it. It was the Lose American Hero 6.6 medium heavy fast action tip. It's my first baitcaster. Yep, I bought that Lose combo. So it was the reel with the American Hero rod. I liked it so much that when that one broke, I did end up breaking it. I did. And I think it was mainly, yeah, I'm sure it was my fault. It was my fault. I went and bought another one, the exact same setup. Yeah, that is my jig rod today. My very first bait caster, guys. And I got it because one, I was getting pressured. My buddies, my mom, my friends, they were all supportive. They said, start a YouTube channel talking about fishing. That's all you talk about. That's all you want to do all the time. Start a YouTube channel, see where it goes. Well, here we are. And I've gotten pretty good with a bait caster, guys. So yeah, don't be discouraged about switching up later in age. Okay, guys. I'm 43 years old. I know. Doesn't look like it, but that's what it is. I'm 43. And yeah, just to have grabbed a bait caster, 5, 6 years ago, just a few years ago, really, and learn it. Just being determined to learn it, trying to keep up with the pros, right? I was watching my videos and I just finally said, why not? You know what I mean? Yeah. And just took the time and worked at it and worked at it and worked at it, guys. So I think it took me about a week and a half to really feel totally confident in bait casting reels. Yeah, took me about a week and a half. I was throwing it, I was bird nesting. I remember I re-spooled. Oh my goodness, guys. Yeah, I probably re-spooled like 3 times in the same week. I was just throwing 30-pound Proline braid on that thing. I put a 1-ounce lead sinker on there because I had some salty water leads, and I was just throwing it, trying to get an understanding of the concept, working my tension, working my brakes, and seeing what everything does. And yeah, that's my first experiences with the Baitcaster, and now I have a lot of them. Yeah, 8 to 10. Maybe no, no. It's probably a few more than that. But yeah, guys. So now I am in love with bait casting, and it's just another tool in the arsenal. With that being said, let's get into the pros of the bait casting reel. Now, one very prominent pro or positive about a bait caster, everyone talks about it. It's normally the first thing that comes to people's mind: accuracy. Okay, you are more accurate using a bait caster or bait casting combo. That's just facts. You can do that circle jammy and you can roll cast that thing right there. Yeah, swoop, right off the side. Okay, you can pitch it from the front. It's just very accurate. Once you get it dialed in, you pitch it right in there. You can throw it at a good distance, right? Get down there with them pads right over there, the specific spot you wanted to throw that frog. Yeah, bait casters. The whole setup, more accurate. Generally speaking, guys. Generally speaking. Now, when you're not accurate, it's all you, okay? Don't blame your equipment. Do not blame the equipment. Take your time, be patient, and figure out where you're going wrong in that cast, guys. All right? Yeah, that's pro number one. I know, it was an easy one. Another pro is distance, okay? When you're dialed in, see, one thing you can do with a bait caster is adjust the settings. You can adjust your brake, you can adjust your tensioner, you can adjust that drag. Yeah, you can adjust everything on your bait caster, all right? You can even open it up on the side, move your little magnetic brakes if they're centrifugal and stuff like that, and adjust them that way as well to get a more defined setup for yourself. All right, guys? So, yeah, man. Yeah, you could just dial that thing in and cast that bait a mile, okay? Especially depending on what kind of line you got. If you got some braid on there, that thing is gonna fly. Okay, fly like an eagle. Yeah, that thing is gone. All right, guys. As long as you set it up right. So that's a positive to the bait caster, is that you can adjust. Is that you can adjust everything. Yeah. So that's another positive on the bait caster side. You can adjust everything and cast that thing at a great distance. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a positive. You can adjust everything on your bait caster for your own preference. Now, with that being said, a bait caster is also designed. Now, we're not talking about the BFS stuff, but it's also designed to throw heavier baits. All right? Yeah, it's designed to throw heavier baits with accuracy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can also get that distance, but you're also throwing heavier baits because that's what it was designed to do. All right. It's geared to throw heavier baits, right? Your spinning rod, you can throw heavy stuff on a spinning rod. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But your bait caster was designed specifically to throw those heavier baits more accurately. Okay. Yeah. So we're adding that into pros, made for heavier baits. Another positive about bait casting setups is they're generally bait specific or technique specific, right? So I have a jerk bait rod, all right? That bait caster, I could throw other stuff on it. If I get in a little jam, I could throw something else on it. But It's mainly geared and adjusted for jerk baits. Okay, so I know that this specific thing is set up. It's already adjusted for this size, weight jerk bait to throw this kind of way, the way I like to throw. All right, my preferred setup, it's already there. All I have to do is switch a jerk bait. Okay, if I got to cut that line, tie another one on, that's all there is to it. This reel is already adjusted. I don't have to make any, crazy adjustments, maybe micro adjustments, depending on the jerk bait itself, or if the weight's a little bit different, if you're going from, quarter ounce to a half ounce, maybe you want to, adjust something there. But yeah, bait casters mainly set up bait or technique specifically. Okay, guys, so that's a positive when you're fishing a lot. Like I do a lot of fishing, so I got 10, 12 rides all the time just in my truck. And then I normally take 8 on the boat, depending on what's going on, right? And yeah, I don't have to worry so much. If I don't think this jig is going to work, I know that this is my jig rod. I could cut that off, tie another jig on. That is set up already, and I can cast wherever I need to cast right there. Don't have to work hard at some things. I don't have to, reassess the muscle memory to get a good different kind of cast. I know how that's going to operate. So that is a big plus for me when it came to the Baitcaster and getting a hold of them and understanding the use of the Baitcasters. Another positive to the Baitcaster, guys, another positive to the Baitcaster, it's just more comfortable in your hand. I think the handling is more controlled. You can control your combo better. It tends to sit right in the palm of your hand, right here, and you can just hold it. It's comfy. I can fish with one hand. I do it with my jerkbait stuff all the time. Is I'll throw it out there and then I can reach that dial over here, normally my drag star, and just flick it when I'm flicking that jerk bait. And yeah, it just fits comfortably in the hand. No weird awkwardness. They tend to fit just right, just like this, how I'm holding my fingers, just like that. And yeah, it's comfortable, easier to handle. Sometimes I feel like bait casters, depending on your combo, it's just more balanced. So it's just less work in the wrist and just less on the joints overall if your setup is just right, guys. So yeah, that is a big one for me, guys, when it comes to the bait caster, handling and comfortability. And last but not least, okay, guys, last but not least, I think it's a positive. I put it under the positives. Most bait casters and most bait caster combos, okay, so this is more geared toward combos in your rod, but most rods are just one-piece rods, most, okay? But my BFS setup is in 3 different parts. Yeah, it's got the tip, which is a fast tip. You got the in the middle, your backbone, and then it comes down to the stop, right? Where your reel is. So, but most of them, they're one piece. Yeah. And I think that's a positive, especially with a bait caster, because you want to feel, okay? So with your bait casters, you tend to set those combos up to be more sensitive. Like you can feel your bait. You feel everything your bait is doing. You feel the cover you're in. You feel all of that. Okay. So that's how I set my bait casters up, to feel everything around me. Yeah, guys. So yeah, that's it for all the positives I have for bait casters. But like I said, guys, leave a comment down below. What positives do you have for bait casters? And maybe I'm missing something. We can always help somebody down in the comments. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those as well. I don't mind answering them. We might even get Bobby to answer some as well, right? You know what I mean? On our episode of this discussion, because I think this discussion might get a little bit deep, okay? I'm going to have to call one of my buddies, Mr. Big Rick Wojcik. Yeah, that guy, I'm going to have to call him up. He does some things with a spinning combo, I should say, because his combos, yo, he's got some juice, and what he does with a spinning reel and rod, yeah, pretty unique. pretty unique. Most people aren't doing what he's doing. So yeah, hopefully I can get to my boy Rick and see if he wants to talk about some things in the future. But I know me and Mr. Leon Sims, Mr. Get 'em Bobby himself, we're gonna talk about that. And yeah, let's say congrats to him right now. We're gonna probably say it again to him later. But yeah, he pulled in the 4th championship in the Pickerel Open. So he is a 4-time Pickerel Open champion. Yeah, man. Congrats, bro. Good job. Good job. All right. Now, let's get into some cons of the baitcaster. Biggest con that comes to mind. Biggest con. I'm pretty sure you guys that fish a lot, you know what I'm talking about. If you fish the baitcaster and the spinning reels, you know what you're doing with both of them. You know what I'm about to say. The drag system. Generally, the drag system sucks on baitcasters. Yeah, I tried to use it pretty much on every one of my reels. I got a couple that are really good, especially the newer ones, because, you know, technology does what it does, right? The newer ones, they're not too bad. Do I really use them, though? No, not at all. The way I have it set up, I'm horsing these things in. I am yanking and cranking. Okay, guys? I'm not wasting no time with the drag system on a bait caster because I hate when it has that choppy yink yink. Okay, this right here can cause you to lose a fish. If it has a little jumpiness, a little hitchy like that, you know, I'd rather have my drag. Sorry, I'd rather have my drag smooth. If it's pulling it, it's pulling. It's a consistent pull to where me and this fish, we're working here. You know, you're kind of tangoing, you're dancing with this guy. You know when to feel the tension, when to pull, when to kind of let off a little bit. Yeah. But most bait casters don't have smooth drag, guys. So I just tend not to use it. No, nope. Because I've lost too many fish depending on a bait caster drag system. All right, but maybe that might change. Maybe that might change in the future as technology continues to get good, and maybe I can afford some high-end ones where the drag is better. I don't know. If somebody wants to send me a couple of good ones, I don't mind. I don't mind. I will use them. I will review them, and I'll tell you all about them. Yes, that's for sure. Another con to a bait caster, right? Another negative, the learning curve. All right. I mentioned a little bit on it earlier, but yeah, guys, you got your tension, you got your break. There's adjustments. You can do so much when it comes to the bait caster and adjusting and dialing that thing in just right for the technique or baits that you're throwing. It's a learning curve to it, man. It is a learning curve. You know, are you opening up that thing and is it free? Okay, and if so, you got to thumb it, right? When you throw it out there, you got to thumb it, okay? That's when I first got into the bait casters. The old school ones, you had to thumb it. They were just going. You throw it and it's going. That's it. You had no choice but to thumb it. Now technology is getting better. You can set things up to where you can cast that a mile away and never have to thumb it. You know what I mean? But for the most part, if you're learning the right way, yeah, you got to learn everything about that bait caster. You got to know how it feels when you cast it. You got to know how much thumb pressure to give, how much to take away. You got to know what that line feels like coming off that spool. And is it coming off properly? Is it jamming up? What's going on right now? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Bird nesting. Yeah. I told you I wasted probably $100 in pro line braided line. Okay. Yeah, when I first bought my bait caster, I'm thinking about jig fishing and frogging. I put 30-pound braid on there, went out to the backyard, threw it, bird nest. It was so bad, I had to cut it out. I said I had a 1-ounce weight on there, right? So, did it again, probably the next day, bird nest. Man, I was ready to throw that thing in the trash. You hear me? I said, man, this is broken. Something is wrong, right? I looked at the YouTube. It told me to adjust this and this. Yeah, that's what I did. I was frustrated, right? I had a buddy of mine. He said, hey, man, what you need to do is back off on the tension and just slowly work yourself into long casts, all right? He was like, get an understanding of it first, and then try to go hammer that thing out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, the learning curve on that, it took me about a week and a half. I want to say a week and a half. So I was totally confident and on the water, throwing it like I've been throwing it for years, you know. So yeah, the learning curve on a bait caster can kind of suck a little bit, guys. Yeah. And that's going to lead us into our next con. Proper pairing. Yeah. Yeah. So you got to do a little bit of research, guys. You got to look things up. You got to know what you're looking for specifically when pairing your bait caster up with a rod, okay? Because if you have a crazy ratio on your bait caster, let's say you got a 7:2 to 1, okay? 7:2 to 1 gear ratio. But you got it on a rod that is geared for crankbaits, okay? Well, I think a 7:2 to 1 is too fast for a crankbait. Yeah, yeah, I personally do. But now there's guys out there that will put that 7:2 to 1 on, throw it, and catch fish because they know the speed of the reel, okay? So now you have to learn, you know, well, how much line does this reel pick up per, revolution? And how fast is my bait moving? How am I doing this? How am I doing that? Right? So proper pairing, pairing that bait caster up to the perfect rod to get the perfect result that you're looking for is hard to do at first. At first. Now, I've been doing it for a little bit, so I understand what I'm looking for. Okay. So if I'm looking for a 7:2 to 1 gear ratio, or a rod to pair up with my 7:2 to 1 gear ratio, well, normally I'm picking something medium, heavy, and fast. Okay. Because if I'm using a 7:2 to 1, that means what I'm pairing this thing to, I'm probably throwing into some cover and I have to get the fish out fast. All right, guys, I got to get that fish out quickly. 7:2 to 1, I'm getting it in there. Even, going up to the 8s now. Somebody I know has an 8:0 to 1. That is fast, okay? But I can understand if you're throwing it in the grass mats, okay? I can see if you're throwing it in the pads, if you're throwing it into them docks, okay? Around them bridge pilings, and you have to get that fish away from the cover quickly, all right? You got to horse it to you, get it out of the junk, okay? Now, what it does in the open water, now you got to work that out. But I like a 7:2 to 1 with a medium heavy fast action rod because I know I'm fishing somewhere with cover to get that fish out. Okay. Now, if I'm crankbaiting, I'm looking for a 5:2 to 1 gear ratio. I'm using probably a medium rod. Okay. I do like a medium rod with a medium fast tip or fast tip. Okay. I will get a medium rod with a fast tip. I can really get that sensitivity and I can feel what that crankbait is doing down there, guys. Yeah. And the speed of that reel, how much line it's picking up per revolution, is not as much as that 7:2 to 1. So I can kind of slow grind that crankbait, or I can work it in a drag fashion and reel in the slack with no hiccups. Now, the only thing is, now if you get on one with those treble hooks, it's got the treble hooks. That's why I chose that medium rod, because it's for the crankbait. But when you get on that fish, now you got to get this fish in. Now you got to play this fish, okay? Because he's got the treble hooks. Now you don't know if he's got one treble. You don't know if he's got both trebles in him. You just don't know. So that setup with that medium, okay, and that 5 means I'm not horsing and overworking, right? Tearing that fish's mouth all up. No, we're just going to work him in and we're going to play that fish. So yeah, proper pairing a bait caster to a rod can be difficult. But like I just told you, I just gave you a little bit of juice right there. Yeah, buddy. So yeah, that's all the cons. I'm looking at my notes. That's all the cons, guys. That's all the cons I got. If you have more cons on a baitcaster, you know what to do. Put it down in the comment section below. All right. Now, I'm gonna leave you guys with a little bit of juice right here, just a little thought, right? Just some thinking, because this is gonna cause a great debate. I got a buddy, he throws jerk baits only on spinning combos. He doesn't throw them on bait casters. I throw my jerk baits on a bait caster. I don't throw them on a spinning reel. But I do remember at one point back in the day, I did throw jerk baits and crank baits, even a jig on spinning reels. Give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think about it. What's better for a crankbait and a jerk bait? Is it going to be a spinning reel or a bait caster? And would you use a jig on your spinning combo? Would you do that? Have you done that? Something to think about, man. So yeah, give me your thoughts down in the comments below. This is going to be a great debate, man. And I don't know what's better, to be honest. I know what I like to choose and what I think is better for the way I like to fish. Okay? That's a choice you guys got to figure out on your own. With all that being said, that's my time. I'm going to leave you guys with that thought. You know what to do down in the comments, guys, and tight lines and all that good stuff everybody says. Peace. Hey.